Meanwhile, optimism has blossomed for the Gulf region during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. On Wednesday, Saudi Arabia hosted landmark delegations from Iran and Syria. The Gulf countries are working to re-establish diplomatic ties after years of bitter divisions. Only hours after the Iranian state media said that a delegation had touched down in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia announced the arrival of Syria's foreign minister in Jeddah. The Syrian foreign minister's visit marked the first such trip since the country's civil war broke out in 2011. A statement from the Saudi ministry said that the foreign ministers discussed the required steps to achieve a complete political settlement to the Syrian crisis. The statement added that the aim is to achieve a national reconciliation and bring Syria back to its Arab fold and resume its natural role in the Arab world. The diplomats also confirmed steps would be taken to resume consular services and announced plans to resume flights between their countries as well. On Friday, the representatives of 9 Arab countries will meet in Jeddah to discuss letting Bashar al-Assad's country attend an Arab League summit next month. Now remember, Syria was expelled from the Egypt-based Arab League in 2011 over its violent crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrations. In the aftermath of a devastating earthquake, Saudi sent various parts of Syria. However, the aid effort did not involve direct contact with Assad's internationally isolated government. The Saudi officials instead coordinated with the Syrian Red Crescent on aid going into the government-controlled territory. In February, the Saudi foreign minister said a consensus was building in the Arab world that a new approach requiring talks would be needed to address humanitarian crisis in the region. Back then, the Saudi foreign minister stated that the policy shifts in Damascus could also help Syrian refugees in neighboring Jordan and Lebanon. Earlier, Tehran announced the arrival of the Iranian delegation in Riyadh to pave the way for reopening diplomatic missions. According to Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, has also been invited to Saudi Arabia. It would be the first step by an Iranian president to Saudi Arabia since Mahmoud attended a regional meeting in Mecca in the year 2012. Last month, Tehran and Riyadh agreed to re-establish relations after years of hostility. The absence of ties between the two countries threatened stability and also security in the region and helped fuel conflicts in West Asia from Yemen to Syria. Saudi Arabia cut ties with Iran in the year 2016. Back then, its embassy in Tehran was stormed during a dispute over Riyadh's execution of a Shiite Muslim cleric. The kingdom had also blamed Iran for missile and drone attacks on its oil facilities in the year 2019, as well as attacks on various tankers. Iran had then denied all of these charges. In the past, the Iran-aligned Houthi movement in Yemen has also allegedly carried out cross-border missile and drone attacks in Saudi. As a part of the China-brokered deal, the two nations agreed to reactivate a 2001 security cooperation accord. Iran and Saudi Arabia also agreed to revive an earlier pact on trade, economy and investment. As the contacts grow, Saudi Arabia is also negotiating with Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels. Saudi Arabia gathered a multinational coalition to fight the Houthis in the year 2015 after the rebels took control of Sana'a and large swathes of the country. Now this week, Saudi ambassador will travel to Sana'a, which is Yemen's rebel-held capital. Experts say Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest oil exporter, now wants to exit the 8-year war. Yemen has become a major battleground, and the two countries also vie for influence in Syria, Iraq and Lebanon. For more on this, we're now being joined by James M. Dorsey. He's a West Asia expert and he's joining us live from Jakarta. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Dorsey.
Pleasure to be with you.
Right. Now, I want to first ask you that West Asia is witnessing a major transition at the moment. Do you think that the Arab world is finally uniting?
Well, I don't think it's united in any form or fashion. I also don't think that problems are getting resolved. I think what you are seeing is a concerted effort to reduce tensions and to manage conflicts so that countries can focus on economic development at this point. The question is how long you can put all kinds of differences and divergences between these countries on ice.
Right. While now Saudi Arabia is also mending ties with regional rivals, the world's biggest oil exporter wants to focus on diversifying its energy-dependent economy. I want to seek your perspective as to what are the broader implications of this for West Asia.
Well, I think what you're seeing is the effort to, on the one hand, indeed focus on economy, but also to establish regional leadership. So, for example, the reintegration of Syria into the Arab fold, and when we'll have to see if that happens, countries like Qatar and Kuwait remain firmly opposed to that, is really as much aimed at trying to loosen the ties between Iran and Syria as it is about trying to resolve the Syrian conflict.
Right. Also, Dorsey, help us understand if you think that Syria will return to the Egypt-based Arab League.
I think ultimately it will, and that will give some degree of legitimacy or restoration of legitimacy to the regime of Bashar al-Assad. It's not going to solve the problems in Syria itself, and it's not going to resolve issues, for example, between Turkey and Syria.
Right. In your perspective, how do you think Washington is reacting to all these meetings taking place in West Asia at the moment?
I don't think that the United States has a problem with this. I mean, the United States, if anything, favors a reduction of tensions. In a number of situations, may not be able to arrange that itself, and therefore doesn't necessarily have a problem with others doing that. I also think one's got to be careful in terms of trying to interpret this as a decline of U.S. power or an eclipse of U.S. power. I think we're far away from that.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Dorsey, for joining us and sharing your insights with us. Thanks very much.
My pleasure.